excited to engage with the community and provide you an update. We have decided that we will give you a monthly update so that you know when to expect a corporate update like public companies do, except we'll do it more frequently. So this is our monthly model, and I am very happy to provide you an update at the end of July. So this is our update for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And as you all know, I've been on the road a lot, and there's much to share. So we have some big news today, and I want you all to join us in this exciting new chapter of the company. So let's begin by having the presentation that I will walk you through. And I'm going to ask the team to turn on the presentation, and we can begin with the webinar. So here we go. So the agenda today for our update for SolveCare starts with the core theme, our global expansion. As many of you know, earlier this year in February, we decided that while we are a great solution for US healthcare and we continue to make strides to be a truly global platform, we need to have a global footprint, and we need to have meaningful presence in other key markets. And one of those key markets among the whole universe, whole planet, is the Asia market. So we have been spending a lot of time in Asia, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Tokyo, in Korea, and evaluating what is the opportunity for SolveCare. And that global expansion strategy stretches from US to Europe to Asia to Latin America and everything in between. And so I'm very pleased to announce that we have made a decision to move the headquarters of SolveCare to Singapore. Our company will be properly reincorporated in Singapore, and we will open our headquarters physically in Singapore and position some of the key management of the company in Singapore. More about why Singapore in a minute. The second thing that I want you to all understand is that our platform brings tremendous value to various different healthcare jurisdictions. We bring a lot of value to US market in the payer space, in the accountable care organization space, in the employer benefit space. We also bring tremendous value to the patients in the form of disease management and care management networks. And that value proposition is equally compelling in Asia as it is in the US, as it is in Latin America, or it is in EU or in Africa. Really, no part of the world is immune to disease, and no part of the world has a need of the patient that is being fully and properly met. So whether it is diabetes management or cancer management or mental health, or it is around asthma and pulmonary diseases, there are the same diseases that afflict humanity around the world. And as we move aggressively into the disease management space, in addition to care coordination and benefit management space, we find that our platform delivers value in every corner of the planet. So as part of this journey, we have identified that Asia is a tremendous opportunity for us to launch our care management, benefit management, and disease management solutions on the Care Wallet and the SolveCare platform. And as part of that journey, we are also looking to and are making tremendous progress with strategic partnerships that will help get the platform and the Care Wallet in the hands of millions. We are looking for and are making great progress with partnerships that will launch the Care Wallet literally into the hands of millions of Care Wallet holders who will and can use it to do care coordination, to connect with their loved ones and manage their disease conditions or their disease conditions, and learn how to manage the disease that afflicts them, as well as if they happen to be in a sponsored benefit model, then access those sponsored benefits. We are the first platform on the planet, at least the one I know of, that allows me as a patient to have autonomy and actionability around my needs, and then allow my benefit sponsors, be it my employer, be it my insurer, or be it my government, to essentially lease my wallet from me to send content to me that they need to share with me. This is unprecedented. Nobody's ever done it. We are doing it and we are succeeding at it. So I'm very proud of the fact that we can walk into Asia, present our platform, and get a reaction that most companies would only dream of, so much so that we are now ready to move forward and position the SolveCare headquarters in Asia with an eye towards expansion in North America, in Asia, and then bridge between those two and cover the rest of the planet. So that's a huge step forward for the company, and I couldn't be more excited, but that's just the beginning. So this is the location of our Singapore office. It's the Duo Tower. I've been there recently. I was in Singapore a couple of weeks ago, visited the facility, really liked it. It is a fantastic facility right in the heart of Singapore, and we are going to be positioning the SolveCare HQ there. And then, of course, as we grow, we will be positioning for larger space, but this is perfect for us to get launched and be there for a few years. And there's plenty of expansion capability here. But then at some point, I'm sure we are going to outgrow this space and we will look at other. But this is a great location, fantastic, very energetic, and just very well connected. So I'm very excited to show you the picture of the building where SolveCare headquarters in Singapore are physically based. And we are also sending some of our key members of the team to be in Singapore, either half-time or full-time, so that we can make sure that there is a bridge between the current SolveCare team and the new team that we are establishing there. So we want to make sure that we as a company retain our values, our focus, our execution skills, our relentless energy. We keep that regardless of what part of the planet we are in. So even though we are looking to be a global platform, we are one company, and one company, one culture, one mission, one approach to succeeding, one approach to supporting each other. So we will see a lot of movement between our existing offices in Singapore in terms of people, knowledge, and also collaboration. So very excited about that. Singapore is a great city. It gives us a lot of opportunity in terms of local expansion. It is definitely a springboard into many economies in Asia, and it allows us to position the company in the long run towards what we really want to accomplish, to become a sustainable public organization that is listed on a major exchange, either in Hong Kong or in New York, and that allows us the option of both. Being in Singapore, we have more options than if we were just based in the US. So it opens up the gateway to not only billions of people who need and should have Care Wallet, it also opens up the door to additional capital markets and additional users of the platform that we need to tap into. Our vision is truly to be a global platform, and this is the right step in that journey. Next big announcement, and this is the one that I could just say this and stop. As part of this progression towards an Asia-centric growth model, in addition to our US growth model, we realized that we need to bring in somebody very senior to help us manage our expansion into Asian clients, different countries, fragmented market, and so on and so forth. So we are very pleased to introduce to you today, live on this webinar, the president of our Asia Pacific region, Jason Danny, who I have known for a number of months, actually for more than almost 2 years, and who I feel blessed, privileged to count as member of the SolveCare executive team. And I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to turn it over to Jason and let him introduce himself because he's in the office right next door. So over to you, Jason.
Great. Thank you, Pradeep. And hello, everyone. Hope this update finds all of you in good health. I have to admit, it feels a little bit surreal being on this side of the screen. Over the last 2 years, I've been watching Pradeep and the team, much like you right now, just deliver on their mission and just watching in admiration. And it's a real privilege and honor to be part of the SolveCare management team, sitting on this side of the screen, joining Pradeep in the update. So really excited to be here. Perhaps I can provide a little bit of background on my journey over the last kind of 25 years or so. We're focusing more on the last few years and how I got to meet Pradeep and why I chose to be here, and high-level views on Asia. Then 11 years in banking, where I spent most of my time focusing on international private banking, corporate restructuring, again, mergers and acquisitions, as well as insurance, in fact. And that led me to a number of years in the insurance sector, working for the likes of Manulife, one of the largest insurance companies in the world, as the global head of strategy, as well as the chief marketing and distribution officer for Asia. And after that, as CEO of Sun Life Hong Kong. So my background in the insurance space is quite deep, but not as, I would say, as interesting or deep as the last few years, where I focused predominantly on the blockchain sector. First, as a founder and CEO of a fund that invests and advises fast-growing blockchain startups that are out to change the world and solve fundamental problems in major industries. And shortly after that, as group managing director of a publicly listed company that has one of the largest OTC desks in the world, largest in Asia, and that's where I ran also an advisory firm. And over the last 2 years, I spent most of my time working with blockchain startups, building strategy, help them to think through their operating model, designing their tokenomic mechanics, helping them get listed on major exchanges, so on and so forth. So, as an advisor and an active participant in the space, I was a kind of a roll up the sleeve kind of a partner, if you will, to a number of blockchain startups. And that's where, of course, I met Pradeep and was introduced to SolveCare. And it didn't take me very long to see the genius behind the operating model and how talented Pradeep is. Yes, he is as talented in person as he is on camera. And over the last 2 years, we had developed a friendship and a collaborative kind of a advisor relationship where we would reach out to each other and discuss the market and think about different ways to accelerate SolveCare's growth. And then, when Pradeep was spending more time in Asia, we had met up for dinner and we discussed the opportunity of me joining the team. It didn't take long for me to accept the offer, simply because the opportunity to have tremendous impact on the healthcare sector in Asia is too great. The runway is massive. I have spent the last 4.5, 5 years on a full-time basis in Asia and 2 years on a part-time basis. And I can tell you that the Asian healthcare sector is as cumbersome and as complicated and as administratively ridden as most other regions in the world. And the need for a platform such as SolveCare is going to simply revolutionize the way healthcare will be administered and significantly improve the delivery of care. So I was really excited about the opportunity and even more excited about the team itself and the company itself. So for me, it was a no-brainer to join and work with Pradeep and the team to help accelerate the growth trajectory in Asia. So for I literally just joined a few years ago on an official basis. So the near-term focus from myself and for the broader team is to prioritize, is to do a deeper analysis on the priorities that are before us, and to select how we're going to tackle them. There are a number of different opportunities across the region. Asia is a massive, as Pradeep mentioned, it's just a massive opportunity. So the challenge for us is to analyze, screen and prioritize the biggest opportunities that will give us the biggest lift and has the biggest scale for us. And we'll look at that on kind of both lenses, both in terms of market opportunity as well as sector opportunity. So within disease management, benefit management, also pharmaceutical opportunities. So we're going to be doing more upfront analysis to determine where we should deploy most of our focus and resources. And then we're going to build the best team possible on the ground in each priority market. And then we're going to execute diligently. And we'll focus on each market in a three-stage approach: incubate, build, scale, incubate, build, scale. So the opportunity where we see ourselves in 2 to 3 years is the absolute leading player in healthcare that provides end-to-end technology platform to transform the administration of care and the delivery of care. We are already first mover. We already have first mover advantage in the entire region. Our focus right now is to prioritize and execute so that we will, in a few years, will be so far ahead of any potential competitor that might come along in the next few years. So I'll stop here. I just want to say thank you to the community and thank you to the self-care team for being part of such an incredible journey so far. And I'm happy to take any questions during Q&A.
So I would like to continue and add a few things. Jason, again, welcome to the team. We have him here in our Kiev office with all the team members, and I'm very excited to have Jason already be working closely with the team. So as Jason mentioned, we have been working together in various different capacities for the last couple of years, and I've reached out to him for advice whenever things didn't make sense. And when I started the Asia Pacific expansion journey, it was his contacts and his relationships that got us in front of some of the largest players in Asia immediately. And from there, we also were lucky enough to be referred to Vidis, again, one of Jason's past relationships. And from there, we were able to launch into quite a substantial exploration and journey of where Solvecare needs to be: product, people, process, and partnership perspective. What is unique about this, three things I care about when I bring in an executive. One, do they believe in our mission, and will they do whatever it takes to help the mission happen? Because none of us can predict what our job will be tomorrow. Second, can they work with other team members and to form a collaborative base on which we build rather than siloing off functions? So having that collaboration is absolutely critical. And third is, are we going to be able to watch each other's back and really rely upon each other when chips are on the table? And I'm really delighted that Jason's been here with us for a few days, has been already part of our executive council meetings and working with the other executive team members. And we are already functioning like a team that has the hallmark of having worked together for a long time. So that means that my bandwidth is now significantly expanded. As an executive team, I can hand off a lot of things to Jason that I work solely on my plate, and I can focus on things that really need to be on my plate. So this is a major expansion of my bandwidth, but also a major expansion of the executive council in terms of the knowledge and expertise. So we are really delighted as much for Jason, for the person he is, as the experience he brings to the table. So please feel free to reach out to us, and if you have any other further questions about Jason, and we will keep you informed, and I fully expect that you will see more of him in the future. So let's continue with that update. The next update I have is, what does this mean? When we go from US presence to Asia Pacific, how does this map to an overall strategy? So in a nutshell, our overall global strategy is based on a regional office model. We are envisioning and planning and executing on a journey which takes us from North America regional office to Asia Pacific regional office as a second step, and then we move into 3 more regional offices that cover Europe, Middle East, and Latin America. And we are in our strategy sessions deciding which next regional office we will go after, and that will follow a similar model: a regional president responsible for growth and profit and loss and partnerships in that area. with the right experience and the right reach to immediately hit the ground running and truly unleash the power of self-care platform. And the vision is clear and repetitive and simple and very, very important to achieve, that every person who struggles with healthcare or disease or coordinating care of their loved ones will and ultimately use Care Wallet to achieve those goals better. And it doesn't matter what geography you live in, it doesn't matter what healthcare system you reside under, it doesn't matter whether you are taking care of yourself or your loved ones. If you have that need, we are going to give you an answer. So that with that vision, you can fully expect that this regional office model gives us a launch pad into various markets with leadership in each place and each market. And we are step-by-step executing. So this model, this map that I am presenting to you is the map of the next 3 years. We will continue to execute on this journey and continue to provide you updates. The next thing that I want to bring back to you is, I always say this to my team, plans are mice and men. They are really not worth much. But it's really, really true that if you don't plan, you will fail. And to succeed, you must have a plan, and then you must have the willingness to execute it and stick to it and change it when needed. And that's the art and the science of success. So 2019, we made a clear plan, right? And our goal was X dollars in revenue, X number of clients, certain milestones in the product, certain type of partnerships, a certain brand recognition, and a certain scale of management team. And those were the key objectives on which we are going to measure ourselves at the end of the year. Call it the corporate KPIs. So let me go through each of them. Revenue, we are on track to hit our target. We will do better, but we will hit what we said we are going to achieve for 2019. The numbers we published internally to our board and now to our investor community, those are all going to be met to the dollar. Clients, we said to ourselves, we want to have at least X number of clients, and we want to have this diversification of clients. We don't want to have just 3 clients of the same kind. So we want to cut across payer, pharma, employer, or benefit space. So we have been able to meet those targets, and I'm really proud of the fact that SolveCare is attracting and signing clients that would be the envy of Fortune 100 companies. We are not signing proof of concepts. We're not signing clients who want to try a pilot. We don't do POCs, we don't do pilots. We do real projects, and if you're ready for that project, come talk to us, is our mantra. So our clients know it, and they come to us when they're serious about launching real solutions for real patients and real doctors and real healthcare needs. And yes, blockchain is a big part of it, but you come to us when you have a real need on a meaningful scale. And that continues to be our mantra. We're not a incubator for ideas. We are a platform that delivers tangible value today and much greater value each year. On that front, the product continues to march ahead. We, as every product company, have a roadmap, and we are executing on it. By and large, I'm happy with the product roadmap. I'm not as happy as I would like to be, and we are taking strong steps to parallelize product development so we can move the platform forward to address the diverse needs of payers and pharma, for example, and not to have one client suffer at the expense of other. We're doing good. I think we will do great over the next 6 months as we adjust to the expanded scope and expanded growth and expanded velocity. Partnerships, we are doing fantastic. Uber, Lyft, and other partnerships that we, HMS, Dinokratis, CP Chain, they are all active partners for us. They're all bringing value, and we bring value to them. And none of them is a partnership on paper. I don't believe in partnerships that just sit in a drawer. If you have a partnership, you have to deliver value, else you don't have anything. And I think we can safely say that our partnerships are handpicked, and they are marquee names, and there are more. We're not done. We're just getting started. But we will announce the partnerships when the ink is dry on the paper, and additional partnerships with clear value to the Care Wallet are available in the market. Our brand is doing fantastic. Our brand recognition charts are great. We have in the healthcare space and in the crypto space, we are going to be very clear about building our brand. And the brand recognition continues to grow. I get stopped when I'm in Asia on the street to ask if I'm related to the self-care brand. That's a great thing. But the most important, of course, is management team, right? In the end, we cannot execute on this vision at a global scale if we don't have executives like Jason. Now, what's interesting is the picture on the right-hand side is our recent visit to the Boehringer Ingelheim headquarters in Germany. And we were there with the Boehringer Ingelheim leadership, which you actually see in the photo, along with the CEO of Arizona Care Network. And it was a great visit in that we recognized their vision for where they want to take the platform in the long run. It was a great set of meetings, and we walked away from that even more convinced and even more committed to the Diabetes Care Network and its potential, not just in the US, but truly on a much larger scale. And we wanted to share this picture with you because it was such a delightful experience to meet with a client as forward-thinking and as innovative as they are, and as big a commitment as they have made to the self-care platform and to launching the disease network for diabetes. So this was one of the key moments in my last few weeks, and I wanted to share that with you, the excitement of being there, the interaction with the leadership, and how this neatly fits into our 2019 and 2020 track. And I predict that they will be a big part of our journey as we look ahead. The next thing that I want to talk about update-wise is that we are continuously expanding and enhancing the Care Wallet, and we are moving towards a really well thought out adoption model that works for different levels of mobile and phone experience. So we have created a very well-designed avatar model, which is based on age and condition. That includes young adults who are very phone savvy, to elderly people with diseases who are not as phone savvy, and to design the Care Wallet to adapt and adopt the avatar to give a very different user experience. So as a patient, if I'm in my early 20s, I may want a completely different care card view than as a patient who is who is much older and is looking for a much easier click to basically report their medications and so on. So I'm very proud of the design team. So we launched a design team in the last 3 months that is dedicated to designing different avatars and different views of the care cards for the Care Wallet, so that we can have an English, Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean language-oriented cards, but we also can have age-based cards and avatars that are related to the phone efficiency and phone proficiency. So this card library and this design library is continuously evolving, and we are deploying this library already for Boehringer Ingelheim's Diabetes Care Network. So I'm very excited to see that. And that, of course, means that we have to run that many more card development tracks in parallel. And that's where I was speaking to earlier, that we need to move the product forward because the demand is coming not just for English or Spanish. Demand is coming for languages and scripts that are not Roman in nature, right? So, and those cards are coming at us at an incredible speed. And we need to both expand the internal capacity, but really what I'm looking to do is to get the community engaged in building more cards. And that's where I think the product can really take off. We want our product team to focus on the wallet and its capabilities, which they are doing. And we want to get more of you engaged in building the cards because our card backlog keeps growing. And to design cards that are not just care cards for a certain need, but really need based upon the avatar of the person with the need. So that's where I'm going to reach out. We are starting a campaign to reach out to all of you in the community to bring us individual and enterprise card development organizations that can take up the mantle for building cards that are jurisdictionally local, relevant, culturally sensitive, and language-wise, so the team can focus on the wallet itself. More on that later. Today, it's enough for you to know that we are really making strides on the product side to allow for the card development community to truly go global. The next big update is this. We have been on a very long journey to unlock tokens, right? We ended our token sale on April 30th, 2018. And then we went through a very rigorous audit. And following that, we put together a very, very clear unlock schedule. And that schedule was very long, but it had to be because of the Rule 144 that says that if some point in the future, some regulator decides whether we agree or don't agree with them, that Solve token was a security of some nature and that it should have followed the security rules. They will find that we have met every applicable security requirement that they could have possibly thrown at us. We did not do anything without a KYC or AML. We did not allow people to, US token holders to come in unless they had appropriate qualifications and accreditations. We made sure that if you bought the token, you held it to maturity, which Rule 144 says should be 12 months. So we held the tokens for 366 days. We made sure that if there was anybody who could be deemed as an affiliate or insider, their tokens were held for 2 years so that they could not run the market. They could not be ahead of the average token buyer. We did everything and then we did more so that no one can come back later and say, if I treat Solve as a security, you violated the rules. Our answer is, we're not a security. We never will concede we are a security because we have no features of a security. But even if we can agree to disagree on that point, if you want to apply the security standard, we met it. I'm very proud of the fact that with the last unlock that happened a few days ago, vast majority of the tokens are now unlocked. What we have left are very few tokens that are attached to either services rendered during the ICO or board members who have to wait not 1 year, but 2 years, things like that. But everybody who literally bought a token during the token sale has it. So out of the 350 million tokens that made up the token sale, all the tokens that were purchased are already in the market and they're all mature, which means we don't have to look back and worry about, is there any token that doesn't comply with any rule potentially floating in the market? There isn't. So we can, from my purposes, although this is not technically 100% mathematically accurate, but from a psychological and from a mission accomplished perspective, all the tokens that we sold that were sold to independent buyers, those tokens are unlocked and they're in your hands and the hands of your friends. And what we have left is a very small amount that is related to services rendered, and those tokens will release over time, but they're really insignificant in the big scheme of things. So I, in my mind, think the token sale is done. The token sale is done, token unlock is done, and now what we have in front of us is execute, execute, execute. So that brings us to the last thing. I go to several blockchain conferences, and I think I shared this sentiment in the community a few days ago. And I try not to go to too many because frankly, I hear the same thing. There is a lot of potential for blockchain. We are doing a proof of concept. We are looking for our first test client. We have an application that is looking for a solution, and on and on and on. And everybody talks about the art of the possibility. That's great. But we are well past that point. We crossed that bridge years ago. We are on the journey to build the solution, deliver the solution, make the solution relevant and global, and set revenue targets and meet them, and set growth targets and meet them, and build a management team and make sure we outrun the market. I'm not interested in following the herd. I'm not interested in even leading the herd. I'm simply interested in creating a path and following the path that we have created, and if others will follow, so be it. So in that regard, I only worry about three things. Do we have a good plan? Are we executing? And is this plan repeatable or scalable, if you will? So 2019, we are on track on all the major KPIs. 2020 planning is what we started. And when Jason arrived in the office, that was our weekend, spent as an executive team going through the nitty-gritty of what 20 looks like, which then has a huge dependency on Asia, right? We are looking at US, we know exactly what's going to happen by and large and what we want to happen. What can we do in Asia that will make 20 even more exciting? So that's the planning we are doing currently. And I'll be heading back to Korea and Singapore as part of this execution planning and execution of the actual office and all the people we need to hire. All that journey has begun, and we are really in aggressive mode to get all of this on track and starting to happen. So that by the time 20 arrives, we're not talking about what we're going to do. We are doing what needs to be done, and we're going to have a great 20 as we are having a great 19. With that, I want to summarize. In my mind, we're outrunning the competition. We are no longer talking about, we don't even talk about the competition is. We simply talk about what we need to do and let the competition catch up if they can. We're extremely focused on execution, so we're setting a very strong standard of execution. And there are annual goals, there are quarterly goals, there are monthly measures, there are weekly check-ins, and there are daily reports that we do to keep all the executive teams and execution teams on track. Our platform is gaining attraction globally. We are no longer and never have been, but we have no longer even have to defend the statement that we are a global platform. Our token is fully compliant. I have no questions about it. I'm pleased that the token sale is complete in its every sense. We are absolutely attracting top tier names, not partnerships just within the blockchain space where two blockchain companies get together and announce a partnership and hope that they'll draw actual client in. We're not doing any of that. To us, real clients, real partners, real value, real revenue, real growth. And our team is very focused. I know I push my team very hard. If you ever met them in the street, they'll all tell you I push them very hard as I push myself, but it's necessary. What we are trying to fix hasn't been fixed in almost a century. What we are trying to accomplish is to do what much bigger, much more established companies fail at. And we are doing this with the energy of youth and startup, but we are doing that with the experience of 30 years. So I bring that experience, my team brings the energy and the execution skill, and now we bring in Jason to bring wisdom and guidance in areas where we love to have that level of experience. Because I've always told you that I'm not a crypto guy, I'm a blockchain guy, I'm a healthcare guy. And it would be great to have somebody with the experience across all three sectors, and that's what Jason has brought to us. And our mission and vision is to be the global platform. So we continue to execute on that journey, and I am very proud to give you this update, and I'm ready to jump into the Q&A. And I'm going to ask that Jason and I be put on a split screen so that we can begin the questions and answers session. And maybe, given Jason this is his first webinar with us, maybe I'll turn it over to him and let him answer the first few questions that we have seen from the community already. So over to you, Jason.
Great, thanks, Pradeep. So
the first question we have, Jason, for you is, I'll read it. You have the background at McKinsey & Company, big insurance companies. You could go anywhere. Why did you choose to join SolveCare?
So all the jobs that was put up on my bio, they're just that, they are jobs. I see this opportunity as a calling. And my response to that would be simply that anytime you come across a company with such an incredible, ingenious operating model, a world-class team that's aimed to go out and fundamentally change a major industry like healthcare, you got to jump on board. That's my philosophy in life.
Thank you, Jason. One more question, and this is fun. You've been to Kiev. What's your first impression of the team? Is it really as good as we hear about?
Yes, it's actually even better. They are truly a world-class team. They are incredibly hardworking. They're bright. Just the collaboration that you see between them is just it's phenomenal to watch. So the short answer is yes and more.
I would second that. I love Kiev, and the team is just remarkable, which is why we keep coming back here. The next question again is for you, Jason. You're very popular. We hear that people at self-care never go home. Is it true?
Okay, yeah. Well, in my limited time here, they do put in long hours. I came in on the weekend to drop something off, and of course, half of the team was in the office. And when they do leave home, they take their laptops with them. So this is, again, it goes back to, I really mean this, is that when you feel like you're part of a purpose-driven organization and it feels a bit of a calling, it's not work. It's the work-life balance starts to, it's work-life harmony. It starts to blend in because you love what you do and you want to contribute to the team. So yes, they work hard. No, they don't leave ever the office, and when they do, they take work with them and they make sure that work gets done on time. Because as the point that you just mentioned, Pradeep, you drive your team hard, so they always try to meet your expectations, deliver.
Yes, they do indeed. The next one is for me. Pradeep, you are growing too fast. Can you handle it? It's a fair question. Growing too fast is always one of the reasons why companies fail, not because they don't have opportunity, but they don't know how to scale to meet the opportunity. And I have been through the journey where too fast a growth ended up hurting the company. It wasn't a small company, it was a giant company that grew too fast. So at any size, fast growth that is uncontrolled will harm your team. And once your team is harmed, the company is harmed. But I think that we are growing per plan. We're not growing faster than the plan. And I will tell you, I've said no to more than a few clients who wanted us to launch a care network for them in 2019. And we said, no, we can't. And we will modulate and moderate what we do in 2020 as well. But when you look at our expansion, it's based on a long-term play. We're opening our offices and headquarters in Asia. We're expanding a regional office in Asia to target those markets. We're not unrealistic about how long it takes to win business, how long it takes to convince clients and partners to sign on the dotted line. And we're not looking for toy projects. We're looking for real projects with real depth. So growing fast can only be accomplished if you plan ahead. So this is all about planning way ahead, executing on time, because I don't want to be $1 short and a day late. You better be have $5 extra and arrive at your destination a week early. So this is all about planning, looking ahead. We could meet our 2020 targets handily without stepping into Asia. We could do that in our sleep. 20 would be done if we just did what we did last year or this year. But that doesn't get us ready for 21 or 22 or the IPO. So this is all about planning ahead. And if you really want to get Care Wallet in the hands of millions and billions, we're going to have to expand the use cases. We have to bring in disease management that works for everyone, not just for the privileged few who have access to a top-tier healthcare system. So all of that means that we look ahead, we plan ahead, and we execute ahead. So we are doing everything we're doing today so that we don't end up with a problem of growing too fast, because we are ready for it. But this is not going to be without effort, without friction, without some lessons. But definitely not the first rodeo. And what I've learned over the years is you can never plan enough and think far enough ahead, but you always got to execute in a manageable time frame. You cannot execute to 2023 today, but you can definitely execute to 20 and 21, and otherwise 21 will show up and you're not going to know what to do. So we are growing at the speed we want to grow, and that is a blistering speed. It is not slow, but it is also according to our expectations. The next one is, when are you going to Korea? Is the meetup happening? Will you be there? Is Jason coming? 4 questions. The answer is yes, we are going to Korea. But before that, Jason is heading to Singapore office. I believe I'll let you speak to that, Jason. I think it's next week. And then I'll be joining him in Korea for the meetup. And then following that, both of us will be in Korea together along with the other team members. And then we will be then heading back to Singapore to continue our dialogue with clients and partners. But I'll let you speak, Jason, to your plans for your presence in Singapore.
Sure, thanks, Pradeep. So starting next week, we'll be formalizing the structure of the office. We've got the lease set up. Essentially, my presence in Singapore kicks off next week on Monday. This past week was my introduction to the organization, spending time here with the core team. And then Singapore will be our base, both for the corporate headquarters as well as for the regional office. And we'd look to hire a talented core group of individuals that will be based in Singapore, but also over the coming months in priority markets as well, focusing on business development activities.
Thank you, Jason. The office looks great. I think they're referring to the Singapore office. How many people do you plan to hire? Yes, this is about Singapore. So I can address that briefly, and then we'll provide you more details as we develop. So the idea in the first round of hiring is about 11 people, subject to change and subject to the local market conditions. But we're looking at an array of functions. Head of finance, our general counsel, looking at business development executives to penetrate the various Asian markets that Jason is very familiar with, as well as people who can help localize our platform to the local jurisdictional and regulatory needs. So it'll be a combination of resources. We are going to rely upon Jason's presence in Singapore to select the right talent of the executive team there, as well as to hire the execution staff as well. So the office was built up to handle around a dozen people initially, and then there's a lot of expansion opportunity. More to come on that once Jason is there and has spent a couple of weeks on the ground. There are several more questions. Let's see how many we can fit in. This one is for you, Jason. I think the best, since you have quite a bit of experience in the digital asset space. The question is, are you concerned by current low liquidity? I presume that means of the SOLV token. First come, first serve client orders in this environment will lead to high slippage, and liquidity is key to price discovery and stability. Would you like to address that?
Sure. So there are some factors that we have control over and others that unfortunately we don't. There are a number of macroeconomic headwinds, if you will, that are impacting the entire industry, not just the SOLV token liquidity. The list keeps growing by the day. So whether it be some noise happening within with Trump and the Trump administration, or coming out of the UK, or India, or BTC halving, and so forth. So the majority of the alts across the board are being impacted, and volumes are actually dropping significantly on all the top exchanges. Now, so we're not overly concerned, because we do believe that, we've seen this movie play before, that liquidity will rise again and will fall again. It's just the nature of the crypto market. Now, having said that, there are a number of initiatives that we already have in place that will improve our liquidity, not just short-term liquidity, but sustainable, healthy liquidity. So that's a priority of mine, priority for the team. But we don't necessarily react to short-term movements in the market. We're focused on our plan to drive long-term value for our token holders.
Thank you, Jason. The next question is, will SolveCare look to use their eventual leverage in market to get discount benefits for non-sponsored wallets, a way to financially help those who cannot get into a network? I love this question. This is personally important to me. We always want to remember why we are doing what we are doing, to make healthcare accessible, relevant, useful, usable for people who otherwise do not have access to proper care, and even those of us who do, to do so better. So this notion that we leverage our scale to get better healthcare in front of people is the essential idea behind creating a network of networks. So our clients can start a care network for diabetes, or our clients can start a network for benefit management, or they can start a network for employee benefits, or insurance benefits, or any number of other capabilities. And those networks are very powerful onto themselves. But the idea that all of these networks can derive from Care Marketplace and from the Solve Care network about all of that, connecting everyone to access to the fundamental care like disease management, information, and care coordination with family members, those capabilities cut across everything, right? So in that regard, we actually see that as more networks proliferate around the planet and as we aggregate every single Solve Care wallet holder into a consumer who demands better results, better care, and better control over their healthcare, then yes, absolutely, you have tremendous buying power, and you have the ability to get services to these members through the Care wallet at a lower price than they could buy elsewhere, if they can buy them at all. So in that regard, that you are essentially asking a very insightful question in terms of, will we use the power of the wallet and its spread throughout the planet as a way to benefit people? And the answer is absolutely. That is our mission. It's good social sense. It's also good economic sense. And it's what we are trying to do. Make everybody have access to quality healthcare regardless of where they live. But to do so, healthcare jurisdiction by healthcare jurisdiction. We're not going to do this top down. It has to be bottom up. And that's why healthcare platform from SolveCare must be global, must be localized, must be adopted to the local healthcare regimen, must be usable by somebody who is sponsored or non-sponsored benefit user, and must be able to access services that humanity expects regardless of where you live. That is the mission statement, and this speaks to the heart of that. The next question that we have is a technical one. Does SolveCare see any benefit in implementing FHIR? FHIR is a information interoperability standard, FHIR, as part of its solution. It has a lot of backing from major players. Yes, it does. And I'm curious to learn SolveCare's thoughts about it. So we see a FHIR endpoint as a feature of something the community can build and publish and charge for. Many standards like this will emerge and will re-emerge or will evolve, and they will be both regional and global standards. And in my mind, this is a business opportunity for our community. If you are a EMR vendor, if you are a claims adjudication vendor, if you are an integrator that knows how to deal with the integration between a e-prescription system and a payer's backend, if you are familiar with FHIR or with the NCX12, or if you know HL7, you have the ability to take that standard, apply it to the SolveCare platform endpoint, and then make that endpoint available to every single client who needs it and charge for it on a transactional or a monthly usage basis. That's revenue for you, that's revenue for us, and it's fast to market solution for the client. So the answer is, I would love to see you come to me and say, come to SolveCare and say, look, I'm a FHIR expert and I would like to build the FHIR endpoint for SolveCare platform. And we will embrace that idea. To give you an example, recently we were approached by a company that came to us and said they want to work on delegation of consent under medically informed procedures, which is a very specific but complex area of healthcare where you have to inform the patient of their options before you do a major procedure on them, like surgery or blood transfusion, things like that. It has a lot of regulatory issues. It requires a tremendous amount of paperwork. It's complex, it's high risk, but this company does that well. Our answer is, great, we will support you in building a care card deck that allows delegation of treatment as a very well organized card deck. Perfect solution for our patients, for our providers, physicians, payers, ACOs, employers, everybody can use it. We don't need to build that deck ourselves. This is what I meant by saying, and I think product needs to focus on product, and we need to open up the spigot in terms of third parties building all these applications. And that's where I'm pushing the product team. While we have to deliver Boehringer, while we have to support ACN, while we have other pharma in the mix coming in with other similar care networks, we have to do all that, but we should never forget our real mission is to make the platform something you can extend and bring it to your market. So that's exactly what we are doing. We are not working on FHIR per se, but I'm familiar with the standard, and I would love for the community to come with suggestions on these and other standards as something that we can bake into the standard endpoint library. Next question, I think either Jason or I can answer this. It's how is the current client onboarded, client usage going? How many end user people are using SolveCare services? When do you anticipate real world usage for onboarded clients to start picking up? So that's a great question. I'll give you two answers. Our current model of go-to-market strategy is a sponsored benefit model where we have a client, whether it's ACN or an insurance company or a pharma company, that identifies a set of people who need a care network. And then they launch the network on our platform. They invite those members to join that network. So this is invitational. And that's how all our current clients are listed, are implemented, because these clients have already a membership and they want to give that membership, employees, insured members, or hospital patients who want to deliver better care, better results, better autonomy to their member. That means that you have to be invited to join the network. And because you have to be either part of an insurance company, part of an employment model, you have to be part of a hospital system for you to be invited. So that means that even though we're building all this power in the SolveCare network, only those who are invited see it. So we are working right now to open up the SolveCare network to a non-sponsored benefit model by identifying the services like Uber, like Lyft, and others, where we don't need a sponsor. You don't need to be invited. You can join at will. That's an open network. That's not an invitational network. And that certainly is where we see a mass adoption beginning. So it is our plan, and it is in our roadmap, to, while we are serving the sponsored benefit care networks, which are very powerful, and that's where we are learning and outrunning the market, we also will launch the unsponsored benefit network. We had hoped to launch it by end of the year. I cannot tell you right now if we're going to make end of the year, because this was a secondary goal for us. But soon thereafter, we will be able to get a non-sponsored benefit network stood up that allows people to join voluntarily and don't need an invitation code to participate. And the type of services we are introducing into that, you can already see in our partnership portfolio. So it's on its way, and that's what really where the unfettered usage and the general adoption metrics can be applied. We may run out of time, but I'll run through a couple of more questions. Do you have enough funds for expansion? So that's a great question. We are calibrating our expansion to our availability of capital. Obviously, you all know that we have run a very tight ship, and we have signed significant client and significant revenue streams. So we're not running just on our own funds. We're running on regular business revenue. But there is a lot more investment going in. And as we look to expand, certainly expansion costs capital. So we are, as many of you may remember, and some of you may not, in the midst of doing an equity round to raise capital. And that has been going on for several months already. We are deep in the middle of that process, and we will continue to pursue that till that's completed before end of the year is the expectation. So a lot of our growth plans are are tied to this equity round. We also have other sources of capital if we need it. And so we have a plan A, which is CapEx, and plan B, which is to look at alternative sources of funding. We don't think we need them. We think we are quite well positioned for plan A to work, but I never work without a B and a C plan. So be assured that we're not going to spend money we don't have. But having said that, all expansion is tied to availability of the right capital. And if for whatever reason we feel that the funds are constrained, we will also scale our growth plans accordingly. We're not going to outspend our availability of capital, because that's never a wise strategy. That's how you go bankrupt. And we're not planning to make any such mistakes. So SolveCare is run very conservatively and will continue to do so. Next question is ACN on some kind of a beta and not using the Solve token? How is it now? ACN is actually not on a beta. They haven't been on a beta for a long time. They were in a beta 2018 for about 90 days. That's a long time ago. ACN is live and in production using their network to pay providers. And that network has been live and growing. The question here is really more along the lines of when will we allow other members of community who are not part of the ACN network, or if you're not a member of the ACN network, you're not covered by ACN, then obviously how do you get access to the network? And the answer is you can't. You have to be invited. You had to be an actual ACN member to join the network. And that will be addressed when we open a non-sponsored care network. But keep this in mind. We are a sponsored benefit platform first. And therefore, as long as we have sufficient growth through our sponsored benefit networks, that's where the big wins are. You know, trying to get one consumer at a time on your own is an expensive proposition, and many healthcare companies have failed walking that path. We don't intend to follow in the path of massive failure and repeated failure. We picked the sponsored benefit model as a clear strategy to avoid the path many startups follow and fail. So we are not at all unhappy about the fact. In fact, we are delighted about the fact that benefit sponsors see our platform to be compelling, and they are the ones who drive adoption through their invitation and outreach and correspondence and mandates and incentives. And that means that SolveCare can focus on building the platform instead of spending all its money on advertising Care Wallet on TV. That is a huge difference. And we are not going to abandon that successful strategy. We will supplement that strategy with individual and unsponsored benefit model. But that's only because we want more of you to have access to the wallet, not because that drives our growth. Okay, I see some few more questions coming in. Let me take a look. Can you give an update on the fundraising? When is that expected to be closed? So our original plan was and remains to close the funding by end of Q3, which means that we would be looking to close funding around end of September. Like things like this, we have given ourselves one extra quarter as a buffer. I told my team we have to close funding in 19. I told my investment advisors we had to close funding by end of Q3. And the truth will lie between those two bookends. Whether we close right around the boundary of Q3 or we go into first half of Q4, I cannot say, but we will be within our defined plan. We want to get this thing done this year, and so do the investors. They need to make decisions and deploy and move on, right? They want to see us execute our strategy. So nobody wants to delay this process, and the interest level is high enough where I'm confident that we can meet the deadlines. The next question is, will the development stay in Kiev? Absolutely. The development team is based in Kiev. We have a very significant operation here. I'm very proud of the team, and we are going to expand it, and we're going to supplement it with the community developers and enterprise organizations that can bring domain expertise beyond the product into domains like FHIR and standards of that nature. But end of the day, the development team is run and will continue to be run from Kiev. However, we are looking at opening outposts. As we look beyond 20, we realize that we may have to have additional development outposts managed by our Kiev team, but giving us access to either language talent, localization talent, talent that we would find difficult to find in Kiev, be it, let's say that we have to convert the wallet into Korean language support. We would probably need to have either a contractor relationship or a small office in Korea that allows us to really morph the wallet into a true native Korean app. So those kind of decisions need to be made. They're not really my decisions. They're head of development's decision. I want the wallet done on a roadmap that we agreed to. And if you need to bring in resources outside of Kiev, so be it. But the core team, the platform mindset, the platform soul will reside here. I see no reason to change that. This is a remarkable organization that has put their heart and soul into it, and they own this thing. I don't own the Care Wallet, the team does, and we will continue to build upon that sentiment. This next question is for you. When will the STR become active and start taking in tokens? This is for you. I know you're handling this, Jason, so perhaps you want to give some thoughts on that.
Well, Ted, the SDR is active today. It's already set up, and we will be, and tokens will, as the tokens flow through the process, and that there's a lag time between when tokens are purchased by clients and when they will settle in the SDR, depending on the client and depending on the level of activity. But right now the SDR is live, and but you'll start to see the pickup of the SDR in the coming months through this year and into next year, as the level of activity by clients starts to pick up as well.
Yep, absolutely. And then I'll take a couple of more questions and we'll wrap up. When do we plan to come to Latin America, and what are your expectations in the market? So we are looking at Latin America very carefully right now. We will not go into Latin America alone. We will not go there without a solid partnership in place that will give us the appropriate access and also inside knowledge of the market. Use cases wise, it's becoming quite clear that the same disease network that is relevant in Arizona is also relevant in Chile and in Brazil. The same need for coordinating care between patient, family members, provider exists in every part of the planet. The ability to ensure that my sponsored benefit supplier, be it my insurer or my employer, has the ability to engage me properly exists around the planet. In Latin America is no different. We are currently working on the Spanish version of the wallet and the cards, which is needed for many reasons. And we are also looking at some strategic partnerships there. I think we will be giving you some information and updates, more concrete ones, and who our partnership is, who our go-to-market buddy is in Latin America, to be announced before the end of the year. There is conversations underway that I cannot disclose today that I think will be the right way. Get those conversations baked into an actual contract, define the strategy, and then we'll come back and give you an update. But it's very much on our radar, as is Middle East, as is Europe. But I think Middle East and Latin America are definitely surging and competing for our attention, even ahead of European Union. And then I will take the last question, and either Jason and I can answer this, and I'll combine two. What are the negative reactions you've gotten from clients, and how big is your pipeline? So about the negative reactions from clients, I don't really have anything that jumps up on the top of my head as a negative reaction. If anything, the only thing that I can think about is our clients want everything done yesterday. The more they see what the wallet is able to do, the more they want done. And we just try to make sure that we don't overcommit and underdeliver. Our preference is always to undercommit and overdeliver. So our clients are very happy as far as I can see. I haven't heard any negative other than, my gosh, one, what took so long for such a platform to emerge? And second, why are you not able to give me every card I want yesterday? But that's just normal business expectation management. In terms of the pipeline will only get bigger. It's quite big. And one of the challenges Jason and I are dealing with, and Julia, who's leading the account management of many of these projects, dealing with, is there are too many opportunities. We've got to triage them. We've got to organize them into really the hot leads and the warm leads, and really put the long-term leads aside for now, or at least wait till we have bigger bandwidth. But truly today, the pipeline is exceeds my expectation. And here's the happy problem. With Jason coming in and running the Asia pipeline, we're just going to see a much bigger pipeline going into 2020. That's a good problem. But I don't believe in having a pipeline for the pipeline's sake. You got to convert. You got to make sure that pipeline is well managed, people are well responded to, they get meaningful and accurate answers from you on a timely basis, and that you actually take them from the journey from thinking about an idea to actually signing a contract and launching a network. So we need to manage a pipeline not by scale, but by quality. And that's where my focus is, and I think we're doing quite well. But I'll let you speak to Jason, what you see, your initial review of the pipeline that you've done in the last 2-3 days. I'll let you comment. I know we haven't talked yet, but please go ahead.
I mean, to be honest, I share the same sentiment, Pradeep. From my experience, there's been absolutely no negative or question mark around our delivery. In fact, it's been mostly curiosity. They haven't seen a platform that is kind of an end-to-end platform within the healthcare system that can deliver this much value. So they're a little bit skeptical in the way that we can deliver on this. And when I share with them that this is not a prototype, that this is a live platform that's being utilized by a number of clients, then they start to get a little bit deeper into understanding how it works. But so far, the sentiment has been extremely positive. And again, I would go back and go back to my earlier point, is that our biggest challenge is going to be on, identifying the biggest opportunity for us and prioritizing and allocating our resources and capital accordingly to the opportunities that will give us the biggest lift, as well as the biggest scale. So when we are able to, the point that you put forward, Pradeep, is the repeat plan, execute, repeat. We want to be able to focus on opportunities that are scalable, that are repeatable. Try to, especially in a market such as Asia that's so fragmented, we want to balance the customization of the platform with the local needs and market attributes. But we do want to focus on as much as we can on executing on highly scalable programs and initiatives across the region.
Agreed. Absolutely. Thank you, Jason. I will end by saying this. We are 10 minutes over our allocated time, but I will say this. 19 has been per plan with one exception. We thought that pharmaceutical industry would be a client that would follow the payer, the employer space. We would win business in payer space and employer space, which I know very well, and so do you. But the pharma space we figured will be more of a 2021 play. And I can say that not only did we sign a significant partnership, a client contract in pharma, we are seeing a number of follow-up items behind that, some similar, some different. But the interest level from pharma and software platform was the one surprise we got. It's not an unpleasant surprise. We found ourselves solving some meaningful issues for the pharma space and doing so in a meaningfully strong ROI base. But that's one industry that I didn't see coming till it showed up at our doorstep. Then we realized, oh my goodness, we can deliver a tremendous amount of value without altering the architecture of the platform. And that led to very quickly the announcement we made a few weeks ago, and thus the trip to Germany to explore additional opportunities there and with other pharmaceuticals. So I think you will see a lot more of that in 20. And if you look back at my presentation in 19, at the beginning of 19, there wasn't much of a opportunity in the pipeline around pharma. We had conversations going on, but we weren't sure that was going to convert to real business. Now I can safely say 20, you're going to see meaningful revenue from pharma above and beyond what we know today. With that, thank you, everyone. Jason, thank you for joining me. And community, we welcome your feedback and your comments. I am delighted that we are where we are today. And a lot of it is from the encouragement and support we get from you all. I know many of you reach out to my team, share your thoughts. Please don't stop. Many of you reach out to me directly. Apologies in advance if I can't talk to you all. Sometimes the message volume is too high, but we will continue to keep you up to date, and we appreciate your support. And I'll remind you all, we are ready to engage as many of the community developers and organizations that see self-care as a way to deliver value to patient, provider, and their families. So we're very much keen to see greater engagement from the community on building these cards, because our card volume is absolutely incredible, and we couldn't possibly scale fast enough to do it all, and nor do we want to. So we need you engaged, and we invite you to participate and reach back out to us. With that, thanks again. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and we'll be in touch next month with another update.